All right, welcome back, Tennessee Valley This Morning. Joe Palo, Ginger Gobble, joined now by, as we say, our Bradley County resident historian, Ron Moore. Thank you for being here today. It's early in the morning, but we usually see each other late on Friday night.
Yes, that's coming up soon, about 6-7 weeks.
About 6-7 weeks, we've got football starting back.
Football
Yay,
Friday.
I'm excited.
I'm excited about that, too.
I am.
I'm not going to tell any jokes this year, though.
Oh, come on.
Not during the show.
Yeah, during the show it's bad.
I got you tickled last year.
Yes. During the show it's bad because then if you don't get your composure back, you're on the air.
And you didn't for about 30 minutes.
And there's nothing you can do about it. But real quick, before we get into Bradley County history, we were just talking during the break. We failed to mention it. We just have to because it's being mentioned everywhere. But so what do we think about the Casey Anthony verdict?
I was in total shock.
It was shocking, wasn't it?
Yes, some of my guys and Tony and I were sitting in my office watching it because we just knew she was going to be found guilty.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And when they come back, my mouth just dropped, and I just felt like it was something had happened to me. I mean, I think that's probably the way most Americans feel.
Yeah.
Is that she got away with murder?
She did.
She
just
will walk
like O.J.
tomorrow. Yeah.
And the sad thing is again, nobody. They're all worried about, of course, her defense team, about her and her getting off, and nobody thinks about Kaylee Anthony anymore.
There were people that would go to her where she got. But did you watch where the defense team, after they finished their interviews, went to a bar and popped champagne?
Yeah, high-fived each other.
What were they celebrating?
Right.
There's a 2-year-old that is dead.
And one of the commentators last night mentioned, he said, okay, so she's been exonerated of the charges, she's been acquitted, she's not guilty. Okay, well then, who killed that baby?
That's what I would like to know.
Who killed that baby and why and how?
So is that just over? I mean,
yeah. Well, it is. She can't because it's
no one did it.
Yeah. So they can't retry her for it. Even I guess if she were to come out and say, okay, I did do it. I mean, it's over with.
Can't try her for perjury because she didn't testify.
Exactly. So there's nothing they can do, and she will probably go on, as they said, to write a book, have a movie. She'll make a mint
money,
off her daughter. And the strange thing about the whole thing is she got off and she got exactly what she wanted. Not only is she childless, which is what she wanted, she got off from being found guilty of killing her child.
So now she can go party.
And now she's going to go party and have a lot of money too. I mean, what's wrong with that picture?
But you know what? I'm curious to see. She probably won't be able to handle it.
That's what they've said. She probably will something will happen that'll cause her.
She'll be like
somehow,
O.J. back in jail.
Yeah,
where she should be.
And the thing is, she really had only two choices. She either had to get found out guilty, which she did, or she had to get the death penalty to be in solitary confinement. Because if she'd have gotten any other charge or conviction where she was just placed in prison, she wouldn't have been there long. You got some women in there that have not seen their children in many, many, many years, and would love to be able to see their children. And having her in there, she wouldn't have lasted long.
No, exactly.
I don't think they ever had the first-degree murder charge. They never had enough proof to do that, I don't think. And so I think that was a bargaining chip by the prosecutors to say, we'll throw out this big one and maybe she'll plead guilty down and get her on a manslaughter charge. Because they never proved that she was actually the one who killed her. But we all know she did. I mean, it's one of those things we know, but what they've been able to prove. And I'm surprised they didn't find her at least a manslaughter charge.
I was surprised. Yeah,
but
something.
Nothing was.
Well, or even child neglect. I mean, but I guess, I mean, and as they've all said, of course, this is the way, this is our judicial system. This is what what men and women have died for our freedoms in our country, to be able to have a trial, and then you're judged by a jury, your peers, and then, of course, in this case, they found her innocent. But I think by the jury of public opinion, she's very guilty. And where will she go? I mean, where can she go? This trial was all over the world. People all over the world were following this. Unless she has plastic surgery, there's no place she can go where nobody is going to know who she is.
But there's sickos out there that wrote her fan mail while she was in jail.
Yeah, that's true too.
So
that's true.
Knowing her, if she makes a lot of money, she'll probably have plastic surgery.
Yeah.
I'm not going to touch that.
Right. Yeah. But enough about Casey Anthony. But I'm sure all of you out there were just as upset as many folks all over the world and hearing the news. But I'll tell you what, boy, she once again her lies had her to dodge another bullet.
Yes.
So
we're teaching her, you know, it's
case,
okay to
another
lie.
needle.
Yeah, it was great for her to
Dodged
lie.
another needle this time.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, okay, we are joined by Ron Moore, as I said, Bradley County historian, and who comes every Wednesday and tells us some great history about our area. And I guess today's no exception. What do
We're
we got
going to talk
today?
about a trial.
Okay, that's
Ooh,
good.
okay.
This trial happened many, many years ago, about this time. It happened July 10th through July 21st in 1925 over in Ray County.
Okay.
It was the Scopes Monkey Trial. To set that up a little bit, in March of that year, March 1925, a man named John Butler, state representative from up in the upper middle Tennessee there, passed a law in the House that said that you could not teach evolution in any school or university in the state of Tennessee. Austin Peay, the governor at that time, didn't want to sign the bill, but it was one of those things, well, I can't be going against this religious type program. I've got to sign it. No one will enforce it. Well, in May, the Chattanooga Times ran a story that the ACLU wanted to challenge this law. They thought it was a little ridiculous, and they said any teacher that would stand up and fight this law, that the ACLU would come in and would provide their attorneys for them. Well, then there was these guys, George Rapapilla, did I get that right that time?
Good job.
Fred Robinson, who later on you'll have to remember is the chairman of the school board in Ray County, Walter White, who is the superintendent of schools there, John Godsey, Sue and Herbert Hicks, and Sue's not a woman.
Oh.
Sue is a man. And the song, The Boy Named Sue,
Right.
he's the inspiration for that song.
Oh, really?
Oh my goodness.
Thurlow Reed and a guy named John Scopes met together down at Fred Robinson's drugstore. Well, first off, these other guys met, and they started getting together, and they went and sent for John to come. He was playing tennis down there. He was getting ready to leave the next day to go sell Fords for 5 cents a day, for 5 cents for every one he sold, I think it was, up north. But he got caught, and they come down there and says, John, we want you to be the volunteer, to be the person who stands up against this law. This is the superintendent of the school board, chairman, superintendent of the school board. Sue and Herbert Hicks are from the DA's office, the prosecutors. So they all met together and decided that John Scopes would be the person who would test this law. The interesting thing is John Scopes is the football coach at Ray County High School.
Okay.
He's not the biology teacher. The biology teacher got sick, was out for a couple of weeks, and John Scopes was the stand-in. And when they got to that chapter in the book, John Scopes got sick. So John Scopes never taught evolution in the Ray County schools. And so this was all done as a publicity stunt. So they, of course, then all this breaks out. Everybody thinks this was some big trial about evolution. This was to bring people to Ray County. It was a fake. It was a hoax. Is that right?
A hoax.
A hoax, yeah, that's right. But and then, of course, the rest is pretty much history. But the state come in and they brought William Jennings Bryan in there, a 3-time candidate for president of the United States. Ironically, the Democrat who was the religious side at that time. Evolution happens in everything, even in politics. But and then they had Clarence Darrow, who had been a famous, the dog after me.
Yeah.
A famous attorney had led on some big murder trials around the nation, and he wanted to come do it. The ACLU didn't want him, but finally John Scopes says, I like Clarence Darrow. So they came down here and they started the trial, which lasted from July 10th to July 21st, 11 days in Ray County. They're getting ready to do a play over there. Curtis Lips, a guy who is familiar to Bradley County area here, he wrote a play, and they're going to perform that play at the courthouse, I think, on July 15th. So if you've not seen it, it's a great play. And it tells this true story here, not the stories you've seen. A lot of people know the Scopes Monkey Trial through history and a movie called Inherit the Wind.
Yes.
Inherit the Wind is a very loose, it's a love story and with drama in it, and which has nothing to do with the Scopes Monkey Trial. It plays off of that, but it's not the truth. nowhere near the truth. And also, Inherit the Wind was the first movie ever shown on a commercial air flight. In 1960 when it came out, it was the first movie ever shown there. So William Jennings Bryan came there. The state's case lasted 2 hours. After all the introductions and all that, they had 4 witnesses, 2 high school students who said that they learned that they were in the class when evolution was taught, which is a lie. And both of them said it didn't really affect them. You know, they didn't think they come from monkeys. And then Walter White, go back up to the top of the page, Walter White, the superintendent of schools, who was in the room when they decided to do this, testified against John Scope, who they were all in it together. And then the next guy was Fred Robinson, the chairman of the school board. And ironically to that, Fred Robinson ran the local drugstore down there. Now in 1925 until about 56, 57, you had to buy your own school books when you went to school. Tennessee finally passed a law, sort of a nationwide move to provide books for students. Well, you had to buy your own books. Guess who stole the biology book to the students that they are now criticizing? Fred Robinson, the chairman of the school board. Do you see a little, problems there? So anyway, it lasted all this time. The state was there 2 hours. The other 10.5 days was Clarence Darrow trying to put witnesses on. And it was true. He didn't get many witnesses on because he said, oh, that's too technical, and that. So finally, John Scopes pled guilty. He never testified, just like Anthony didn't, because if he had testified that he had taught biology, he would have committed perjury. So he never testified. So he pled guilty, but the judge fined him $500. And he fined him $125, I think it was. Anyway, whatever the amount was and what the judge did, he charged the jury and the amount wrong and the sentencing wrong, and it was repealed. I mean, Appealed. Appealed, excuse me, I've got repeal in there. Appealed because the judge had charged the jury wrong and charged the fine wrong. And so that was overturned, and he never paid that $100. And the appeal. Ironically, that continued to be a law in the state of Tennessee till 1962.
No kidding.
Yes. So, and at that time, there was another case about to happen in Tennessee, and the state said we don't want to go through this stuff again, so they repealed the law in 1962. So, and William Jennings Bryan, who the attorney was the guest prosecutor. The guest prosecutor never was really going to prosecute. All he was going to do was give a big speech, and that got cut off short because of the fact they closed. They pled guilty and went out. The other thing is Sue and Herbert Hicks, who were in the meeting. Like I say, they were the prosecutors in that. It was pretty funny. After that, William Jennings Bryan died 5 days later there in Ray County. Right after that, and one of the other prosecutors, whose name's not listed on here, Clarence Darrow represented him because he got caught for moonshining. So, so it's an interesting community there.
Now, did Sue and Herbert, were they married?
No, they're brothers.
I meant, I'm not married. You just said that was a...
That's okay.
Yeah, hello,
even
that's
back then, that kind of stuff was happening.
A little early in Ray County. You know, as late as 1990, they passed a law that homosexuals could not live in Ray County. So, but anyway, this is, you know, and that brought a little bit more information. I mean, more cameras to.
Well, now that was really the first trial that was really that I mean, the public was very aware of. That was,
yes.
And I get, you know, of course, they didn't have TV cameras back then. There wasn't what's her name, Jane Cesaris, going around with the microphone catching everybody. They didn't have that kind of stuff. So, but people did follow it because it was a huge. You know, it was a huge case.
There were not cameras, but reporters from all over the world. Yeah. That camped out there. People made tons of money because of people having places to stay. They broadcast the first time a trial had been broadcast live. I think WGN out of Chicago actually broadcast it live.
Oh wow!
So it was a big news media thing, and people from Bradley County and Hamilton County and they took the time off and went over and tried to get in the trial. There was attorneys from here who said, "Hey, I'm gonna go watch this," you know. And like I say, it was interesting. Of course, that courthouse is still there. It's on the National Register of Historical Places. Yeah. July 15th, they have a Scopes Monkey Trial Festival over there. There'll be barbecue down the street. That's the reason I go.
Right.
Live bands and things, but there also the play is on Friday night, that time frame, Friday night, Saturday. It does twice. If you've not seen it, it's a really good play. Local actors there, a little live music in there. So great. I think it's $10 to get in.
Well, you know, I've always, you know, of course, there's been that argument ever since, obviously, evolution versus creation. But I've always wondered, if that were true, how come we still have monkeys? You know what I'm saying? Why aren't they still changing over to people?
They didn't get the memo.
That's what I'm saying. There's still monkeys around. I mean, I'm waiting any day. It's, oh, boom, he just popped into a person.
It's just like a lot of people believe the Scopes Monkey Trial was based on true evolution when it was really a publicity stunt. And those people did get the memo, and the monkeys hadn't got the memo.
Right,
so
right. The monkeys.
That's what you're doing here on WTMB, is spreading the word and trying to get...
Monkeys, it's time to change.
Right, switch over. I mean, we've been waiting.
Joe, I want to say real quick, this Saturday on our radio show, Old Town Cleveland on Whoop FM 99.9, at 10 o'clock, a little commercial there, we're going to be doing a program about eating muskrats.
Ew.
Muskrats that eat, or physically eating muskrats?
Eating muskrats. Basically, we're going to talk about this area being a poor area. And when you were growing up, you ate what you caught and ate what you grew. And so there was no Walmarts or no convenience. There were a lot of roads in many places.
Right.
So you had to eat and grow what you had. So times have changed quite a bit.
Wow, muskrat. Well, I do know,
thank
like,
God, because I don't think I could eat a muskrat.
Yeah, and I know, like in the well, not even third world countries, but some countries, it's a delicacy. They eat rats. They cook rats, fry them, and eat them. But you know, I guess it's relative. Whatever you think is food. I mean, you know, we eat pigs and cows and chickens. You know.
We got a little gentleman named Charlie Randolph coming. He's 88 years old. He grew up poor, and ironically, he lived in the family, the only family that was forcibly removed from their land by TVA. They actually sent federal marshals in there. And later on, they made a little movie about this called Wild River here in Bradley County.
Yes.
So Charlie Randolph was 10 years old when they came with the federal marshals on boat, loaded him in the boat and his family. And as they drove off, they burned his cabin down.
Oh my goodness!
It's very, very same thing. They lived way back in the Hicks, up where Norris Dam was going to be built, and they were already flooding the property. They were picking corn out of flat-bottom boats that year as the water come up, and they'd already planted their gardens and things. So Charlie Randolph is just living history, and we're very lucky. He lives here in Bradley County now. We're very fortunate.
We need to have him on the show one more.
Oh, you'd love to have Charlie.
Yeah,
He's a sharp guy.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a commercial break. We're going to be back in just a few with more of Tennessee Valley This Morning. Remember, it's 6:59. It's 72 degrees. And we're going to be back. We're going to talk just a couple more minutes with Ron when we come back. All right? Is that good?
That's good.
All right. We'll be back with more Tennessee Valley This Morning after this. Stay tuned.
Hello, I'm Pastor Greg Casto of the United Christian Church here at 2200 Peerless Road, Cleveland, Tennessee. I want you to make plans right now to be here at our Holy Ghost Camp Meeting 2011 with signs, wonders, and miracles. Why don't you go to our website right now and get all the information, or call the number on the screen, because you're not going to want to miss these day service, evening service, great speakers, choirs, singers, such great talent. You're going to want to be here in Cleveland, Tennessee.
I'm Wes Robbins with Landmark Insurance Brokerage. When it comes to employee benefits, we've got you covered. Call me today for the best service and best solutions to your group health and employee benefits needs. At Landmark Insurance Brokerage, we've got you covered.
I'm Dr. James Markham, host of the television program Heart of Health, seen right here on WTNB television. Thursday at 7 o'clock, Friday at 8 a.m., or Sunday at 3:30 p.m.
Volunteer Ridipest LLC has been serving Cleveland and the surrounding areas for over 40 years. Their qualified, experienced technicians are trained in all the latest techniques to keep your home pest-free. Volunteer Ridipest LLC offers Mosquito Guard, which keeps mosquitoes out of your yard and out of your life. Their monthly and quarterly treatments are backed by their 100% money-back guarantee. For all your pest removal needs, call Volunteer Ridipest LLC today at 423-472-7736.
Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland, is your #1 Dodge Chrysler and Jeep dealer in this area. Stop by and see the brand new 2011 Chrysler 200. The 200 is essentially a new nameplate with a significant facelift to the outgoing 2010 Chrysler Sebring. A beautiful vehicle at an unbeatable price. And while you're there, check out the all-new Jeep Grand Cherokee and the newly designed Dodge Durango. Redesigned, revamped, and reinvigorated. Yes, the Dodge Durango is back, bigger and better than ever. Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep offers a complete parts and service department with qualified service technicians to fix and repair your vehicle. So for your next brand new or pre-owned vehicle, make it Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland. Welcome back to Tennessee Valley This Morning on this Wednesday. Joe Palo, along with my lovely co-host Ginger Gobble. Of course, Ron Moore is with us.
And our lovely guest.
And our lovely guest in our lovely set, and it's a lovely 7:02 time.
From fender to fender, go see Ginger.
Woo!
See, now Ron's been working on that one. Right, and you know, we're trying to come up with a new slogan so we can change the name from Gobble's Automotive back to Ginger Automotive, the original, what it should have been. And
fender to fender, see Ginger.
that might would work. It's the fan, gin, it's a little, but it's close.
I'm taking a little poetic license.
I know, that's true. It's true.
I've been wanting to say that for a long time in public, poetic license.
Yeah.
You just didn't have a place to
never had an opportunity. Finally fitted into a conversation.
Well, of course, Ginger Gobble from Ginger. See, I was going to do it. From Ginger's Place with Tony, Gobble Automotive on North Lee Highway.
Tony?
Right, who is Tony?
Looky, we got cookie.
Yeah.
Right, that's a good one. See, Ron's just coming up. He's just, you know.
Have you met my PR man?
Right.
I work for cookies.
Well, that's right. And now, what kind of cookies are we going to have today? Are they always chocolate chip?
No, I have white chocolate macadamia nut, oatmeal raisin, chocolate chip, and the Make-A-Wish kids came up with one that I've got now that's got M&M's in it, Rice Krispies in it, and it's a chocolate-based cookie.
Well, what's the ones today? Or is this a surprise?
I do them all, yeah.
Okay.
I tried to have them all.
You know, this could catch on where we could package these. Forget Gobble Automotive. It could be Ginger's Cookies.
That's right.
You package them and distribute them. I bet Cooks would carry them.
Well, I bake them. I don't make them.
But that's still make.
You ruined it for me.
No. That's still making them. I mean, you still got to take the cookie dough and put it in the oven.
Yeah, that's what I do.
You know, watch it.
I've been to sporting events and people take those cookie things that are brand names or that you make, and they bake them right there, and people are lined up to buy those cookies.
Yeah.
Well, it's like if you
They're
buy
not like a hot cookie.
It's like if you buy a hot dog from somewhere. I mean, they made that hot dog, but they didn't make the hot dog. They just cooked the hot dog.
That's
true. So
I need to get me a hot sign so when they come out of the oven, hot flashing.
Right. Then you have people just driving up, grab a cookie, and leave. You don't want to have your car serviced? Just want a cookie. But in any case, all right, so we've been talking with Ron Moore, talking about the Scopes monkey trial. Of course, that happened in Ray County. And as we said, that was the first big trial ever, I guess. That was, of course, you said broadcast live. And that brought a lot of attention because, evolution creation was a big thought back then. People just had that,
Something really interesting, if you get into all the facts, is that William Jennings Bryant was the keynote speaker at John Scopes' high school graduation. Clarence Darrow and William Jennings Bryant were both Democrats, and he had ran for state U.S. representative while he was running for president. So they were at the same conventions together. So these people knew each other, and pretty interesting to see that the fact is that that this hoax put on is still today their history teacher still talking about Scopes Monkey Trial.
Oh, sure.
And Inherit the Wind was the thing. And it shows to prove you that there was a movie called A Face in the Crowd by Ely Kazan, starred Andy Griffith. And his social commentary is that the media can do a lot and control what's happening in society, like you are here on.
Right. We're controlling what all of Bradley County is going to do today and everything.
But it's a history. And 4th of July, we just did, everybody remembers Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his hat, and called it macaroni. Most people don't know what that's about.
What is that about?
Well, a Yankee Doodle Dandy. A Yankee is sort of a hick term or a slang term. A doodle is someone who is a fool. And a dandy is someone who may be a little less masculine. So a Yankee Doodle Dandy, that's a hick, foolish gay guy.
Wow, who knew that?
Went to town riding on a pony.
But he would wear a hat with a feather in it.
Well, let me tell you why. He went to town riding on a pony because a real man wouldn't ride a pony.
Very true.
He stuck his feather in his hat because it was a very fashionable thing at the Macaroni Club, which was the gay club in England.
Oh, so we sing that song as a
taught
patriotic,
our children,
right?
And all this is true because George Gershwin put it into a song. I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy. It was on
James Cagney.
James Cagney played that in the movie. So we sing that, and that's all comes from what the media has taught us. And it's like Paul Revere. Paul Revere rode about 30 miles, and he didn't yell the British were coming. Because you have to realize he was British.
He yelled, "We're coming."
He yelled that the normals were coming or the redcoats were coming. But no one ever said anything about Israel Bissell, who rode 331 miles, killed one horse in the route. No one ever said anything about him because Longfellow didn't write a poem about him. Because it's hard to say, listen, my children, you say, male here, about the midnight ride of Israel Bissell.
Yeah,
if we
that's
get
like
back
the
to the poetry thing.
Yeah.
So just because media said something about it or a poet or a story gets, that's where we get a lot of our history. And we also, our history comes from the winning side.
Okay.
The losers, like in the Confederacy, you don't hear all the Confederate stories because we lost.
Right.
So history is sometimes not absolutely the truth. You have to dig a little deeper.
Well, you know, the Yankee Doodle Dandy thing, and it's funny we talk about that because it was 4th of July, your Monday. And you, both of you have to remember that, do you remember back in the day, and I'm gonna give a shout out to him for this very reason. Do you remember back in the day when our good friend, Steve Hartline, God bless him, when he was just a young little boy, and his mother would bring him to the 4th of July celebrations, Memorial Day, Veterans Day celebrations, and he would dress up as Uncle Sam, and she would play the electric piano outside while he would sing, "I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy." Do you remember that, Ron?
Yes,
I do not.
I tried to forget.
I have too, but it's etched in my mind from seeing it.
My biggest memory of Mr. Hartline, since we're going to talk about him, is that when he used to sit on Tom Rowland's lap.
He sat on my lap too.
Yeah, and doing that. And I always thought,
never sit on my lap.
Right.
I thought he was a puppet. Because it sounded just like Tom. You know, he'd sit there and Tom had his back and he'd tap you on the back and
he'd sit. Tom would have him come in. He'd sit on his lap and he'd say, "Palo, let Steve sit here with you for a few minutes." He'd sit on my lap. And we would be ready, and I would be on the air with the board, and he'd say, "Mr. Palo, what button do I need to push?" And I'd say, "Just 1 second, buddy, and you push that one right there when I tell you." "Okay, you just tell me." And he'd sit like that and wait, and I'd say, "Push it," and he'd push it, and he was doing radio. But Steve always talked like he did when he was little, like he does now.
Yeah.
He was always, but the cutest little kid. He was one of those kids you wanted to just squeeze his little cheeks. Fact now. When I see him, I just want to go over and squeeze him. I say, "Steve, you want to sit on my lap?" He won't do it.
Steve Hartline's never sit in my lap either. I've never wanted to squeeze his lip.
Don't knock it until you try it.
I never have.
But in any case, enough about Steve Hartline. But we do want to tell you that, of course, Ron is here each and every Wednesday, full of information, a lot of other things. And he's always enlightening us about some history of Bradley County and Cleveland area. And of course, today, no exception. We had the Scopes Monkey Trial, which I did hear a while back that was a hoax. Yes. But it's hard to believe as much as that's been said in history, and we've all learned about it in school, and you know. And
I have about an hour presentation on Scopes monkey trial and a PowerPoint presentation, and places I've went and done this presentation for, people go, half the people are just totally shocked. You know, history teachers walk up to you and says, I didn't know that. And I said, well, you read it or you hear it on the news. I used to have a friend that says, I read it in the papers. He could tell any lie he wanted to, and he always finished it by saying, I read it in the paper. It had to be the truth.
Right. Well, my mom, may she rest in peace, would always quote things out of the paper, and if you really pushed her, she would tell you the most unbelievable things. I read it in the paper. And the more you pushed her about it, you'd find out it was the National Enquirer. Oh. but to her, it was the paper because it was on paper, and so it was true if it was there.
So don't trust everything you hear and everything you read.
Right. Either listen to us or believe your lying eyes.
Yeah, or believe Ron.
Right. Believe Ron.
And those people are dead, so they can't.
Yeah, they can't dispute it.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we've got 7-Eleven. It's still 72 degrees, and if you're getting up right now, we're glad that you've tuned in to Tennessee Valley this morning. Of course, we've been talking with Ron Moore, our Bradley County local historian, and Ron and Debbie with the radio show on Whoop 99.9 every Saturday at 10 o'clock.
That's right. 2 hours.
2-hour show.
Live.
Okay.
We take live calls.
Okay.
And no telling what you may get when you take live calls.
That's very true. We all know that. We've had a few. But in any case, thank you for being with us today.
Great.
We're going to be back with Kathy Irwin from PALS. We're going to see the pet of the week you're going to have a chance to adopt right after this. Stay with us. Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland, is your #1 Dodge, Chrysler, and Jeep dealer in this area. Stop by and see the brand new 2011 Chrysler 200. The 200 is essentially a new nameplate with a significant facelift to the outgoing 2010 Chrysler Sebring. A beautiful vehicle at an unbeatable price. And while you're there, check out the all-new Jeep Grand Cherokee and the newly designed Dodge Durango. Redesigned, revamped, and reinvigorated. Yes, the Dodge Durango is back, bigger and better than ever. Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep offers a complete parts and service department with qualified service technicians to fix and repair your vehicle. So for your next brand new or pre-owned vehicle, make it Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland.
Volunteer Ridipest LLC has been serving Cleveland and the surrounding areas for over 40 years. Their qualified, experienced technicians are trained in all the latest techniques to keep your home pest-free. Volunteer Ridipest LLC offers Mosquito Guard, which keeps mosquitoes out of your yard and out of your life. Their monthly and quarterly treatments are backed by their 100% money-back guarantee. For all your pest removal needs, call Volunteer Ridipest LLC today at 423-472-7736.
I'm Dr. James Markham, host of the television program Heart of Health, seen right here on WTNB television, Thursday at 7 o'clock, Friday at 8 a.m., or Sunday at 3:30 p.m.
Hello, I'm Pastor Greg Casto of the United Christian Church here at 2200 Peerless Road, Cleveland, Tennessee. I want you to make plans right now to be here at our Holy Ghost Camp Meeting 2011 with signs, wonders, and miracles. Why don't you go to our website right now and get all the information or call the number on the screen, because you're not going to want to miss these day service, evening service, great speakers, choirs, singers, such great talent. You're going to want to be here in Cleveland, Tennessee.
I'm Kathy Guy with Landmark Insurance Brokerage. Call us today for all your personal insurance needs. With 28 years in the insurance business, I have the solutions and pricing you are looking for. At Landmark Insurance Brokerage, we've got you covered.
Welcome back to Tennessee Valley this morning on WTMB. Joe Palo, Ginger Gobble, and we are now joined by Kathy Irwin of PALS.
And her friend.
And her little friend. And who do we have, Kathy?
Well, we've been calling him Buddy. We haven't come up with a name for him yet, so it just may stay Buddy.
But what's his story? He looks very like he hasn't had much nourishment.
He hasn't. Buddy was found out in the Prospect area, and he was running from everyone. He was very afraid, and so they finally caught him, and they brought him to me. I've had him for 2 days now. He obviously hasn't had his toenails cut in some time. He obviously hasn't had some good nutrition. Amazingly, his skin is not in terrible shape. Usually when they've had poor condition, poor food, poor nutrition,
sure,
their skin is flaking a lot. His isn't too bad. His ears we've cleaned out a little bit, but they still need a little bit of cleaning. But we'll have to clip his nails, and it's a process to clip their nails. We can't clip them all at once because it gets too close to the nerve, and then we've got problems.
Yeah.
So we'll clip his nails a little bit at a time and bring them down. The one mistake that people make when they find what they call a stray that looks like it's starving is they want to give it all the food and water the dog wants.
Right.
And that's a serious, serious mistake. So he'll have to have 4 to 5 small meals a day and a little bit of water at a time, because if we give them too much, they bloat and it causes all sorts of problems.
Sure.
So, but he is just the sweetest little boy. He is just scared.
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah. Car starts up, and when I put him in the car and started the car up, he just panicked. When the other dogs bark, he panics. When there's any kind of noise, So somebody has scared him, or he's just not known what to do.
Right.
But somebody obviously took care of him because he has been neutered. So at one time he belonged to somebody.
Well, what I was watching last night on the Chattanooga news stations, and they were talking about and it happens every year, they say, the unbelievable amount of pets that have go into the shelters after 4th of July, because so many pets, cats and dogs, the fireworks just scare the heck out of them, and they take off. And what they said last night is they gain their own independence, as I'm getting away from this. So they run away, and then they're found in other areas, lost, and then they're taken to the animal shelters. And I forget how many they say every year, and of course this year is no exception. They had bukus of them, and I think 1 or 2 were finally reclaimed by their owners,
Right.
but a lot of them just, and they said most cats aren't ever reclaimed.
Right.
That they just,
And what happens is, very often, if your dog is in your backyard and it sneaks out, for some reason, they usually stay in their own territory.
Sure.
But when they're spooked, they run, and they run blindly, and just run and run and run until they can't run anymore, and very often lose their bearings.
Yeah.
And that's why I encourage people to take their dog on a lead and walk them around their neighborhood on a constant basis. That way the dog is used to the familiar sounds and sights and landmarks. It's amazing what a dog can do if they know, and that way if they do get out, they stay in their neighborhood.
Sure, yeah.
When I walk my dogs, I walk the same path every time. We leave home the same way, and we come back the same way. And that way and I do that with my Fosters too, and if they get out, but
That's
this
a very
little dog,
good idea.
he's been on his own for a while, and he is just the sweetest little thing, aren't you, bud?
Now how old did you say you think he is?
I think he is probably about 2, just
2
from
years
looking
old?
at his teeth. Yeah, he has all of his adult teeth, and he has a little bit of tartar, which is either from a very poor diet or just because they haven't been cleaned, and that's usually about 2.
Right.
Yeah, so
if somebody's watching and they would like to adopt Buddy, what would they need to do?
They need to call me, 284-3104, and Buddy will be ready. And he's going to need some care, but he appears to be otherwise pretty healthy. He has really bad breath, but there again, that's from poor diet. Yeah. It's okay, bud. It's okay.
Well, and I think the thing it is too is that we've mentioned before that I was talking to Kathy Saturday that all the dogs that we've brought on, or cats that we've had on, and that you of course brought to the adoption, have been adopted.
Every single one. The only one that I have brought on that has not been adopted has not been to an adoption event yet, and that's my little Basset Dachshund mix, Rocky, and it's because he has some social issues. He likes to growl at people, and it's a big front that he puts on, but I'm not ready to bring him until he's, till
Right.
he can kind of have good manners in public. But he's the only one that I haven't, that has not been adopted since October.
Well, how many pets do you foster at one time, at any given time?
Right now, I have 8 dogs, and I have 2 dogs of my own, my personal dogs. Wow. And then we have 2 personal cats. We have some show kitties. Those are the kitties that just show up.
Right.
So those are our show kitties. And we feed. We spay, neuter, and they can stay on the property, and we feed. But in foster cats, I have 6 foster cats.
Wow.
So
how do the dogs and cats get along?
It's amazing. If the dogs and the cats are together in the house or in the front yard, everybody gets along. The cats never go in the backyard unless I'm with them.
Really?
And they know, they respect each other's territory. Just like when I bring a new dog in, they know who the alpha dog is, and I'm the alpha dog at our house. And
I guess that's the way it's supposed to be.
That's the way it's
owner is
supposed
supposed to be the leader of the pack.
I am. And I rule. I'm not mean. I'm not cruel in any way, but I am the alpha dog. I decide, and I was telling you earlier that we just, our 12-year-old Rottweiler just passed away yesterday, and he was the alpha dog as far as the others, and we recognize him as the alpha. He gets the treat first, he gets food first, and the others understand that, and we have very few issues.
So all right, let me get this straight, because we have 3 Chihuahuas at the house, and mind you, they all sleep in the bed. But so if you have 3 dogs, 4 dogs, 5 dogs, whatever, sitting there, and you've got treats, if you constantly give a treat to this one first, then they recognize that one as being the alpha dog.
Because you have recognized that one as the alpha dog.
See? Our middle one is like my little favorite one, so I always kind of give her a little extra, or I give her the first piece or a bigger piece.
And they know that.
And I see, and I'm thinking, they don't know. I'm just throwing,
They know.
And because of that, she does rule the roost. We call her, she's the boss of everybody. But, so I'm guessing, too, the dog that gets the treat first also knows you're recognizing it as the main dog.
They absolutely do.
Wow.
And when I get a new dog, we have a fenced backyard, and we also have big pens in the backyard, for our big dogs. And we also have, space in the house. My husband gave up his HO train shop for my animals.
Oh.
But
if you're the alpha dog.
Because oh no, he's the head of the house. But he loves the animals as much as I do. And what we do is when we get a new dog, we always feed them separately until we find out how they behave.
Right.
Just so we don't have, we give, it saves problems.
Well, I'm sure from time to time, they have to, for one reason or another, they're just having a bad day or whatever. They don't know each other that well. Do they not ever kind of go at each other for a few minutes, or, that you're coming over to where my food is or whatever?
Absolutely. Just like your children do.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's best to let them settle it for themselves.
Okay.
But if one's being hurt, yes, I step in. But, I let them just to see, who's going to do what. And it helps me also when I watch them like that with their personality to see, can this dog go in a house with other dogs? Can this go in a house with children? Can this dog go in a house with cats? So.
Well, my wife and I have watched The Dog Whisperer, Caesar. We watch him all the time. And I learned from watching his show one time, which I didn't realize, because the little dog I told you that's the boss, we had our older dog that was 15 years old. It was a Chow Golden Retriever mix, big dog. But and it was there first. But the little dog came in, and feeling it's the alpha dog, would go at the big one and bite at her mouth, and she had to jump up at her and growl at her when she came by the food, and the big dog would walk away. And I used to say, Bailey, you could eat her. I mean, but she would walk. But watching Caesar, he said that dogs do not see size.
They don't.
That's why you'll see a little dog chase a big German Shepherd out of the yard, because they don't see size. They don't recognize that dog is a lot bigger than me with big teeth.
Yeah.
So it's kind of strange how they know that about each other, but yet even the bigger dogs don't say, you know what, I could tear you apart. They just run away. So it's I guess it's whatever personality, whatever dog takes to the top. It doesn't matter if small, big, because they don't recognize size.
And it's also amazing that if you bring your alpha into the house, and let's say you have 3 others outside, one of the outside dogs immediately temporarily steps in.
Wow.
And they recognize it, and it's amazing. I can bring a new dog into my yard, and they immediately know who the alpha dog is.
That is amazing.
It's really amazing.
That is amazing. And of course, you know, I don't know why. They're very smart animals.
They're extremely smart.
And
yeah.
Well, if somebody'd like to adopt Buddy again, what's your phone number? And
okay, 284-3104.
Okay. And will he be at the at Petco when you have the next?
In 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
We were there this Saturday.
Yes.
And we had an amazing day. We really adopted a lot. The last
great.
2 weeks we've had really good adoption. He'll be there in 2 weeks. In the meantime, he's on Natural Balance, potato and duck. Very good diet.
Yes.
For him. And when he goes home, we will actually send him home with that food, just so the people will continue to feed him that, just to build him up.
Right.
So, but he needs some exercise. He needs to build his muscles back up, but he's extremely alert. So I'm not terribly concerned about him. But he's very alert, and he's such a good boy.
He may be a good watchdog for Gobble Automotive or Ginger Automotive.
Or Ginger Automotive.
Right. I mean,
Ginger's
you know.
Automotive and cookies.
Yeah. One more. We only got a couple minutes, but one more quick thing, Kathy, just for everybody out there. I've heard it both ways, but it's not a good idea to ever give your dog chocolate. Is that true?
No, it's deadly.
Deadly for it. Now, then I've heard a little bit of it is okay, but I always say none is better than none.
None is better, because if you give it to them and they get a taste of it and they like it, then if you happen to inadvertently leave your chocolate bar sitting on the table, they're going to think, "Ooh, Daddy's given me some of this, I can eat it."
Why is it so deadly for them?
I really don't know.
I've heard that it's very, very
but
bad.
I could find that out, but I don't know. There are certain things that are extremely deadly.
Okay.
You know, dogs shouldn't have nuts, you know,
Okay,
and
okay.
things like that. But now
Fish, I heard
fish.
Fish is not good.
But although they do have now, Natural Balance does have a dog food that does I think it's sweet potato and fish.
Okay.
So if it's done properly, the one thing about fish is the bones.
Yeah.
They're very,
okay.
very
That
fine.
makes sense.
But you actually, if you insist that your dog have chocolate, you actually can buy doggy chocolate, and it doesn't taste the same as, yes, you can buy chocolate treats and peanut butter treats, and I prefer the natural things, and that way the dogs don't get used to, you know.
Well, I appreciate you coming by with Buddy today.
you.
Of course, Kathy comes each and every Wednesday. She'll be back next Wednesday with
Yes.
another animal that we'll showcase and hopefully get adopted to you folks. Kathy, thank you for being with us.
Yes,
Ginger,
thank
thank you for
you.
being here this morning
Thanks for
with me.
having us,
Yes.
Joe.
Yes, I loved it. It was a great morning.
This is always the start of my day. After I do my family devotions, this is the first thing the TV comes on to.
and we
It's
appreciate
always fun.
Well, I appreciate those of you out there watching each and every day, and we will be back tomorrow. Of course, we won't be back tomorrow. I think tomorrow's Nancy Kaysen will be our host, and a guest host, I believe, is Representative Kevin Brooks.
Ooh.
So we're gonna have to get you run for something. So this way I can say
no.
Representative Ginger Gummy. But
You can call me that.
yeah. But in any case, you folks have a great morning. Remember, get yourself up. It's time to go to work. 72 degrees, 729. We will see you next Wednesday, and Nancy will see you tomorrow in Tennessee Valley This Morning. Have yourself a very, very good day.